Now, a normal response to a catastrophic failure of security protocol would normally be some mixture of acknowledgement of what had happened, truthful disclosure, apology maybe, some due process that reviewed how things had gone wrong, and should someone lose their job or be prosecuted as a result. It is what happened in the past, without question. But none of that happened this week, when the Signal group chat about the bombing of Yemen was revealed by the journalist who had accidentally been added to the group. Instead, the people most involved denied the chat had involved anything that was classified. They insulted the journalist concerned. They suggested he was a serial liar, which is fun coming from the Donald Trump administration, and that the journalist was just a very, very bad man, and hence nobody should pay any attention to him. Head of Security Services Tulsi Gabbard told the Intelligence Committee that no classical information was in the chat as far as she was aware. The combative Press Secretary Caroline Levitt said that no classified information was in the chat. Mike Waltz kind of took responsibility in an interview on Fox News while calling the journalist a very, very bad man.
I can tell you for 100%, I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists. And I know him in the sense that he hates the president, but I don't text him. He wasn't on my phone.
Saying there's no way he'd had the phone number of this very, very bad man on his phone, and maybe the journalist had magically engineered the deception that ended up with him added to the group.
Look, I take full responsibility. I built the group. My job is to make sure everything's coordinated.
But how did the
execute?
Number? I mean, I don't mean to be pedantic here, but how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name, and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right? You got somebody else's number on someone else's contact. So of course I didn't see this loser in the group. It looked like someone else. Now, whether he did it deliberately or it happened in some other technical mean is something we're trying to figure out.
Which is a redefinition of the principle of taking responsibility into new spheres altogether. Anyway, Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic and the journalist in question, decided that since all these administration figures were saying that there was no classified information in the thread, well, The Atlantic might as well publish the whole darn thing. And so it did, and in the previously withheld section, we see the Secretary of Defence, Pete Hegseth, posting into the chat timings for when F-18s will launch, the time when the first target strikes will begin, the launch of MQ-9 strike drones, the time when more F-18s launch for a second strike, the time when the strike drones hit the target, when the first bombs will definitely drop, in all caps, the time when the second strike starts, and also the time when sea-based Tomahawks would be launched. All this was posted 2 hours before the strike was due to hit the first target. It's hard to believe any administration would even try to argue that that is not top secret information, never mind classified. I mean, to be honest, texts of the Vice President ranting on and on about how much he hates Europe, that should be classified, because it certainly had a negative impact on America's reputation on release. But the exact details of a military strike in progress, you look at this, and first of all, it's exactly as Jeffrey Goldberg described it in the original article. Press Secretary Caroline Levitt immediately engaged in astonishing gaslighting by posting an additional message saying The Atlantic has conceded these were not war plans. The entire story was another hoax written by a Trump hater, etc., etc. And that theme was picked up by the Vice President J.D. Vance, who, while packing to go to Greenland, posted saying that Goldberg oversold what he had, which is not remotely what any sentient being would get from looking at this release. It's hard to know what is the point, for instance, of a White House press secretary if all she's going to do is talk absolute drivel with a straight face. I mean, we can go direct to the president for that. Come back, Kayleigh McEnany, who actually provided a veneer of competence to the role in, let's face it, somewhat difficult circumstances. Mick Mulroy, who was a Pentagon official in the first Trump term, put it into words when he said that the details posted by Secretary of Defense Hegseth would have been taken from a document outlining the real-time battle sequence. And he said this: "It is highly classified and protected. Disclosure would compromise the operation and put lives at risk. Next to nuclear and covert operations, this information is the most protected." So yes, anyone remotely serious can see that as being a statement of the bleeding obvious. The main challenge seems to be that nobody who is nominally in charge can be counted as included in the ranks of the remotely serious. So a breach that clearly would have led to resignations and maybe prosecutions in former administrations seems to be likely to be glossed over, brushed off and ignored. Bear in mind, every member of the security services and every serving soldier in the military, all of whom have had the basic training that covers this stuff, will know that if they had done something equivalent to this, they would have had no protection whatsoever. And they're being asked to serve and to respect leaders who are allowed to get away with the most egregious sloppiness, with arrogant impunity. Not even, yes, it was bad, but we're going to let it go this once and promise not to let it happen again, which would be pathetic enough. It's nothing to see here. By the way, this journalist is a bad man. Did we mention that? So all we've learned here is that the people at the top of the Trump team are not only arrogant and incompetent, which we kind of knew already, but when they have been caught out on something, they will look you in the eyes and bare-faced lie about it.
There was no classified material that was shared in that signal. So then if there was no classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
Which rather devalues anything and everything they say to anyone in public from this point on, if such value there ever was. Also, for those of America's former allies who are still in a security partnership, the Five Eyes countries, for instance, they will be left to wonder, since the administration is insisting that this is all just fine, presumably that means they're going to carry on in exactly the same way in the future, only trying a little bit harder not to include journalists in the group, I expect. Given that there are known hacking techniques for extracting all keystrokes from normal phones, that puts all such chats potentially within the reach of adversaries. Not only that, they have also been alerted to the fact that here's an administration that does not follow America's strict security protocols and is about as tech-savvy as the residents of an old people's home. Surely, nothing bad could possibly happen with that information.